What's going on, guys? Killer6 back with my new and improved Zane build. Now this one is a little bit different than what we did before with Nuclear Winter Zane. You can still do the Nuclear Winter Zane stuff if you want to. I have still included the Frozen Snowshoe with this build. And what this shield did was whenever you would equip this thing and then you would shoot your Mantis Cannon, you would do like a Cryo Nova that would freeze everything around you because it uses the action skill start, activating the affected triggers on shield, field, or break. So you can constantly be freezing everything around you and then just murder them, because we paired that with the Icebreaker Victory Rush, which gave us bonus damage versus Cryo and bonus efficiency for Cryo. So that worked really well for that. However, we now have a more improved and more powerful version of my Zane build. So the skill tree remains largely the same. I have capstoned out our man Flint, and by doing this right here, you do need to be aimed down sights to get maximum damage, because with this skill, while you're aiming down sights, you're going to deal 25% bonus damage. You're also going to get all the status effects of the weapon that you're using. Capstone out the blue tree. The blue tree is no big surprise. Everything in this tree has basically stayed the same. The only real big change that I've made is I've dropped the playing dirty to a 2-point skill for me, because 30% extra shot chance on all the amount of bullets that are going out. We're gonna get plenty of extra shots going out at all times. We only need a single point in Good Misfortune to get that to work really well. We got Deathfall is close and Seeing Red. Those skills are insanely good. You only need 1 point in Salvation to get yourself back to max health, with just a couple of bullets really. Drone Delivery is going to drop our Piss Grenade on enemies. And then over here in this tree, we've got a couple points in Borrow Time, 3 points in Premuntus, so that we can get our bonus mag size. We've got Duct Tape mods so that we don't take any damage from our own grenades. And we also will occasionally shoot out a Piss Grenade from our gun when we reload the gun and shoot it. We've got 5 points in Donnybrook plus 3 points from our class mod. Donnybrook allows us to get 72% gun damage by tapping the Mantis Cannon once, twice. And now we will have 72% gun damage right now with that skill and with the 3 points in there from my class mod. Nothing at all in the green tree. That's one of the big differences from before. Previously we had points in Ready for Action and Brain Freeze, and we really just don't need it. This tree, in my opinion, is really not great right now. This is kind of comparable to Flax Purple Tree in a lot of ways. It's got some cool skills in there, but in order to get to those cool skills, you got to put a lot of points in skills that are just kind of a waste, in my opinion. Whereas the purple and the blue trees, there's not a whole lot of wasted action going on there. All right, so that's the skill tree. Now in terms of the gear, for your general purposes, you're going to be using Vladoff gear. And because we're using so many Vladoff things, we're calling this the Nuclear Revolt. Yeah, so I'm not great with names, but we're calling this build the Nuclear Revolt Zane, and you'll see why here in a minute. Mostly what you're going to be using in terms of things for general mobbing are going to be these two bad boys right here, the Nuclear Monarch and the Nuclear Light Show. Both of these are actually really easy to get. The Monarch's going to be slightly tougher to get than the Light Show in my opinion, but not even that much really. And I wouldn't use any Iridium to reroll either of these. Just keep farming them until you get the roll that you want. The Monarch has a 16.5% drop chance from Kilovolt and Electricity when you're on Mayhem 6 and above, and it's a really quick and easy farm. It's probably one of the easiest, fastest farms in the game in my opinion. And the Light Show you get from Lazodactyl by doing DLC 3. You'll know him when you see him, and that is a 33.3% drop chance from Lazodactyl. So real easy to get light shows. Every single one of my light shows is a light show that I farmed on my own. They're real easy to get, so go farm them up. The piece de resistance though with this build is the Revolter Shield. Now this one is also really easy to farm. This is from DLC 6. It's one of the new shields, and this thing, it's kind of like the B shield from Borderlands 2 because of the action skill start anointment that we've got on this thing. Now, like the Monarch and the Light Show, I would absolutely not re-roll this thing with Iridium. You can farm this thing so fast and easy. Like literally the save point right before the guy that drops this in DLC 6, his name is Sumo, and it's from the Ava Murder Mysteries. The guy that drops this, literally when you spawn in, you jump over a rail and then boom, he's right there. It's that fast and easy, and you can wipe him really quick. It's such a fast farm that I would not use my Iridium to re-roll this thing unless, and I say this, unless you get a triple roll on these stats here. I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but this one has Delay, Turtle, and Absorb. If you manage to roll a triple of anything, or even a double of anything that is useful to you, then feel free to use Iridium and re-roll this thing, My skills that I got on this one are not super great. Having the absorb's really nice, but it's only a 15% chance, as you can see. The turtle gives me the extra 40% capacity, but I do lose a little bit of health. And then we got a recharge delay of 25% increase on this. Realistically, if you can get a triple absorb, then damn, this thing would be awesome. If you manage to get a triple absorb, you've won the game, or triple health even would be great. There's a lot of really good options, but be on the lookout for that when you're farming this thing. In terms of the other gear, like I said before, you can use the Frozen Snowshoe if you want. You can use the Infernal Wish. This is another good one, and this one will give you an extra projectile. And I've rolled the action skill start on this one as well. And then we've got the Super Soldier. Now, this one got a tiny bit of a nerf today because people were abusing this with the Phalanx Doctrine with Moe's. So this one you can use for maximum survivability if you want. What happens is every 5 seconds you can hit your action skill. And with Zane, that's just, you know, obviously just hit your Mantis Cannon. And when you do that, if you've got on the Super Soldier, you're going to get a bubble shield. Let's see actually if I can show you that real quick. It actually doesn't show a shield, just know that it's there because you can see the grid around my screen. That's how you know it's still there. And then when that disappears right there, you just pop this again, and now you have a protective shield. And while you have that protective shield, nothing can hurt you at all. Roland could have really used that when Handsome Jack popped up. Anyhow, so the main thing that we're going to use almost all the time on this build is the Revolter. Basically, the only way to die with this build is if you forget to shoot things. That's the only way that you die. Other gear that we use with this, we use the Seeing Dead. You can use basically any Seeing Dead that you find. You can, but I've put in the legwork, and I got one that has weapon critical damage, splash damage, and pistol damage, and that is a really, really good roll. Any of them where you're getting +3 or +4 on Donnybrook, it's going to be really good. And then we're getting our other 2 points into Violent Violence, which gives us even faster fire rate. And this stacks twice as well. So that is, again, 64% fire rate just by doing this. Pop, pop. Now we got 64% fire rate. It's pretty wild, dude. It's pretty wild. What this build can do is it can put out a lot of bullets really fast and do a lot of damage. All right, let's take a look at the rest of our gear here. In terms of the artifact, I've got a Vladoff Company Man. This one has mag size, critical damage, and accuracy. 50% critical damage and 40% mag size. It's really strong. I wish I had better passive rolls down at the bottom, the corrosive, shock, and fight for your life duration, but those aren't as important as the things up top. With a little bit more farming, I've probably found a better one. Other things that you might use, you might remember I used the Atom Bomb Victory Rush on previous builds. This thing is very strong. It's got a double radiation roll on it. You can use that if you want. The Vladoff Company Man is going to be better. We've got a Cut Purse launch pad. This is crucial for this build. It is crucial that you get some sort of Cut Purse artifact. It doesn't have to be a launch pad. You're going to need a cut purse of some sort. Now, to farm a cut purse artifact, you just need to go farm any artifact and get it to roll with a cut purse prefix. Cut purse just means that if you have that thing on and you melee an enemy, then you steal ammo from them for whatever weapon you're holding. Okay, so in terms of the other artifacts, we've got the COV Company Man. You're going to want to use this one when you fight Hemovorous, Vermivorous, and any other bosses that you want to melt in seconds. And you're going to put this thing on, and then you're going to swap out your Vladoff stuff for your COV stuff. So you're going to swap your Radiation Light Show with a Fire Tizzy. You're going to swap your Corrosive Light Show for a Corrosive Tizzy. And both of these have consecutive hits, and you're going to put a lot of consecutive hits on people really fast. It's going to do insane damage. And again, make sure you put on your COV Company Man. That's going to give you critical damage, COV accuracy. Plus, this one has movement speed. So as long as you're moving while you're shooting those, you're going to do more damage as well, because that pairs well with the blue tree. So realistically, you should never ever have to change your Seeing Dead class mod, but if you want to, you can. You should only have to change your artifact if you need to steal ammo, or if you're swapping out your weapon manufacturers, which that's what we're going to start with. We're going to start with Vladoff so you guys can see that. In terms of grenades, I almost exclusively just leave the piss grenade on. That said, you can swap to one of the hex grenades. This one has an on grenade throw anointment, and that does proc when your drone delivers a grenade. It also procs when your duct tape mod shoots out a grenade, I believe. Could be wrong on that part, but it definitely procs when your drone drops off a grenade. So that keeps you in the damage there. In terms of my guardian rank, obviously I've maxed out all the guardian ranks, so all guardian ranks are in play here, so that does impact the build. Wanted you to know that. I play on Mayhem 11 because modifiers suck and I don't like modifiers. One thing you should know about Mayhem 11 is even though it says that you're going to get 1,250% loot versus the 2,500 on Mayhem 10, guess what? They're identical. There's actually no difference, even though it says that there's a difference. There's literally no difference between the two at this point in the game. I don't know if that's something that they plan to change at some point, but right now there's no reason to play on Mayhem 10 unless you really like modifiers versus playing on Mayhem 11. All right, so that is the gear. In terms of the other stuff that I've included with this build, one of the cool things is the Ember's Purge. A lot of people don't seem to know about this gun just yet. Basically, you shoot this versus any enemy that is weak to fire and they have 2 feet or however many feet on the ground. If they are touching the ground, you shoot them with this thing, it makes a lava pool underneath of them and it melts them fast. We've also got light shows in other varieties. As a matter of fact, I put on the wrong light show here. The other light show that I've got is a next to max shock damage, a redistributor in case you want to try and make that work. Unfortunately, it's a little bit weak right now. It needs a buff. We got the Breath of the Dying. This thing is highly underrated, very strong. Very good for mobbing. We got a Ivan's Red Eye Rocket Pod. This is one of the new launchers from DLC 6 and it is very strong. This one's got consecutive hits, not really the most ideal roll, but I haven't re-rolled it. We have a Discipline Torrent next to max corrosive damage on a corrosive one. Stark Flipper, this thing's really good. We got flippers in both shock and fire, and then this one is corrosive and fire, I believe it is. We've got the Atlas Replay. This thing, I've got the consecutive hits one, and I've also included with this a couple things that would really benefit your Atlas, including this antifreeze. So if you slide and you use that Atlas replay, you're going to get pistol damage, Atlas weapon fire rate, plus I've also got the Atlas Company Man, which gives you even more fire rate, more critical damage, more Atlas damage. You can have a lot of fun with that Atlas replay just by swapping those things out. Other gear that we have included with this includes a Ionic Disruptor. I have used this thing to one-shot Trant. It can be a lot of fun, but it's not that great unless you do a lot of setup to make it that way. So I don't actually recommend that. We've got Tizzies in radiation, corrosive, fire, and shock. And actually I'm going to put the shock one on for this. We also have the Unforgiven. Now the Unforgiven, what you can do with this thing is if you hold this in your hand, and this one's a 300/90. That's the annoying one on this thing in case you didn't see that. Plus it has the 432% critical hit damage. That's the maximum crit damage. And you hold that in your hand and you shoot an enemy with your Mantis Cannon. Let's go out here and we'll shoot one of these little dudes. Boom. As you can see, 57 million from one shot from that. We can make that higher by changing some other points around, but it's very strong as it is. One of the new guns from DLC 6 that I really like a lot is this Shock frickin' Malawan gun. Now this one's a ×2. You don't really need the ×2. As a matter of fact, ×2 might be kind of detrimental to you because you gotta spend time reloading a little more often. But this thing's fun, man. This is shock versus flesh, and it was wiping these dudes out. So you already have a pretty good idea of how strong this thing is. So very strong, very fun gun. As you can see, damage-wise compared to the Tizzy, it's pretty wild. But the Tizzy does put out bullets a little bit faster. Still, it's a very fun gun, man. Very fun gun. All right, other stuff that I'm including with this, a Zeetsev's Eruption. If you watched in the montage, you probably saw me getting this thing to the point where it was reloading. And then see how it shoots out this little beam here. Let's see if it does it again. Actually, I gotta get it to reload again. So we let this thing overheat, and then when it reloads, it shoots out those little beams, and that debuffs enemies near you. And you can stack that up if you want, if you're nice and fast and efficient. You can see we got a debuff on him, hit him with another debuff, and then he takes massive amounts of damage. So the Zeetsev's Eruption can be great for bosses if you want to debuff them, and then your Sentinel's going to hit them with a piss grenade. And then, you know, Sentinel also has a bad dose, so that also weakens them as well. So there's a lot of weakening of enemies happening with just a few little interactions there. Other things that we're including with this build include a Nuclear Bank Burner 300/90. I don't think that this thing needs an introduction, but in case you don't know anything about this thing, take a look. This thing will wreck. This thing just does work, dude. You shoot this thing through a crowd and it's going to do everything for you. It's a fun launcher. I just don't like to use launchers that much. We've also got a Hellwalker. Hellwalker probably doesn't need any introduction either, but in case you aren't familiar with the Hellwalker, this is the gun that is like, it's basically the Doom shotgun. It's so freaking good, dude. And you know, I'm gonna shoot this against a dude that has a shield bar. Okay, shield and health, and it's gone. All right, how about this flying dude? All right, boom, he's dead. Hellwalker is freaking awesome, dude. I love that gun. I would use that gun almost exclusively. But we've also got a boogeyman on here. If you've not used the boogeyman, this is an arms race gun. And what this gun does is it'll occasionally shoot out boogeyman skulls, and those boogeyman skulls fly over the map and do work. As you can see, there goes one right now. Let's see, this one's just kind of chilling though. Normally they seek out enemies and help you out, but that one's taking a break or something. I really don't know what the hell he's doing. He's got other stuff going on apparently, so we're not going to worry about that. But the boogeyman is basically like the Lyuda on crack. It's really good. Highly recommend that gun as well. So yeah, that is the gear. That is the build. You guys saw in the beginning what this thing can do. Let's just run through here, kill all these guys, and then head over to the Valkyries so you can see this build a little bit more in action. They did fix Sentinel Cryo recently, so I can now swap guns and keep the Cryo Sentinel still working. As you see, the Cryo damage numbers will pop up over these guys' heads, as you can see right there. So Sentinel Cryo is now working even on weapon swaps. So that was an awesome fix by Gearbox. Took a little while, but you know, they got it fixed. So now we're gonna have the Kraken's gonna come out here, and we're gonna try and hit an eraser shot. So what I want to do is I want to pull one of these dudes, how about you, and then shoot through him. And as you see, the eraser shot just completely wiped the Kraken. If you're not familiar with eraser, it's like Boar from Borderlands 2. If you guys ever played Zero, then you know when you shoot through certain things, it does massive amounts of damage. So this one, your critical hits, you have to hit a critical on the guy in front. It'll pierce through the enemy, doing increased damage on the enemy behind. That did 120% damage on the Kraken when I shot through a dude there. So very strong skill there. All right, so let's go down to the Valkyries, and you guys can see that. Let's see if we can hit an eraser shot on these guys. They're a little less cooperative generally. Took a little bit off. Yeah, actually we busted his shield. We took out most of his shield and busted his shield completely and took a little bit off of his shield with that. It wasn't a beautiful shot, but you know, it did the job. So again, as long as you can shoot something, you keep your health up. So even though I walked right into that fire puddle, keeping my health up, and as long as I have something visible that I can shoot, I'm golden. And you want to pop your Mantis cannon every 15 seconds at the very least. You can pop it a little bit more often than that. You do want to keep charges available to you if you can. That way, you know, if you need it, you got it. But by popping that, you get that bonus damage from your Revolter, which is so freaking strong, dude. It's so freaking strong. As you can see, we just wipe things so fast and easy, dude. It's pretty ridiculous, honestly. And it doesn't even matter, like, we're shooting radiation versus armor. Radiation is, it takes a damage penalty to armor. Just so you know what kind of damage we're talking about. These guys are armored, and we're using radiation and just completely melting them. That's how strong this build is. It doesn't care about the armor resistance to radiation. It just goes through it. As a matter of fact, let's switch to corrosive, and we'll melt even faster with that by matching the proper element to it. And there you go. Build is so strong, guys. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Again, if you have any questions, oh shit, I'll include this with the build. The EMP5, this thing can be used to help you run faster. So holding this in your hand, you get the movement speed. So I'll include this with the build too. That way you can get across maps even faster. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe, tap the bell icon for more. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think about this build. Are you going to use it? Farming this stuff on PlayStation is not going to be that bad. The hardest things to get were going to be the Tizzies, Ember's Purge, because you can only get one of those per playthrough unless you luck out and get one from the treasure room. Everything else is pretty easy to get stuff, man. There's nothing really complicated on this build to get. Seeing Deads are easy to get in DLC 1. If you can't get the Company Man from DLC 6 and you're struggling to find a good class mod, get yourself a Atom Bomb Victory Rush, get yourself Auto Idol or Victory. Any kind of Victory Rush is gonna be good. Pearl of Ineffable Knowledge would be good. You've got plenty of options. You don't have to use the Company Man artifacts. You just get extra damage if you do. So that's the build. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Y'all have a great day.